Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to day 2 of the 28th Convergence India and 6th Smart Cities India Expo. We had a fantastic opening day yesterday, thanks to the support of all of you and of our well-wishers. I'd like to especially welcome our guest of honor this morning is Shri Durga Shanker Mishra, IAS, Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. So your continued support has been a source of encouragement for us, and we are honored to host you here this morning. His Excellency, Mr. Aranha Correa de Lago, Ambassador, Embassy of Brazil. Sir, you also continue to support us. Dr. O.P. Agarwal, CEO, WRI India. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. And to our knowledge partners, KPMG, we couldn't have put together this expo without your support, your collaboration, and your insights. Mr. Nilachal Mishra, partner and head of government advisory, KPMG in India, thank you so much once again for your presence. It was a bit of a leap of faith for us to take this step to put together a physical expo, and I think that it's been borne out by a very successful day one. And what we found in the deliberations yesterday was that the passion that people have for this subject is something that comes across only when we're able to network in a safe environment and do so in person. So I thank you all once again for being here in person and for making the effort. And I now would like to hand over to Mr. Nilachal Mishra to take this forward. Thank you.
Thank you and good morning to everyone. I would take this opportunity to welcome you all to the 6th Smart Cities India Expo 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have an opportunity to look at the cities in a new light as a focus of future economic growth, where the next generations will live, work and play. Enabling our future cities to be resilient and inclusive in our approach is our greatest challenge and will require innovative and focused thinking. To discuss all this, we have with us today an esteemed panel of speakers, and I would like to introduce them without any further delay. As the cities strive to deliver better services by efficient management of resources and infrastructure, timely decisions from the government across the level is a critical element. And hence, to talk about the plans of the government for building the cities for tomorrow, we are pleased to have here Shri Durga Shanker Mishra ji, Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, joining as a special guest of honor. Under him, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is running a dedicated program for transformation of urban spaces, is impacting and making a difference to the citizens and nation as a whole. Also joining with us, Dr. O.P. Agarwal ji, who is the CEO at the World Research Institute in India. World Research Institute has been working with its partners for making the Indian cities more accessible, equitable, healthy, and resilient. They are enabling the city administration in having connected, compact, and coordinated platforms. Also with us today is His Excellency, Mr. Aranha do Lago, who is the Brazilian ambassador to India. Rapid urbanization in Brazil has led to the country being at the forefront of rebuilding the cities. Whether it is Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo, Brazilian cities are undergoing rapid modernization for meeting the new demands. Let us spend some time today to understand the key learnings and key takeaways from their implementation. To set the context of today, as all of us know, that smart cities mission, in a true sense, can be called India's first outcome-driven urban development program that does not focus only on creation of infrastructure assets only, but on a wide range of projects, which together add to make Indian cities more livable, a journey leading urban areas to evolve and mature into a citizen-centric spaces. The journey so far has also built up a lot of data and insight, which is allow us to take in-time correction measures and create the roadmap for the future. Understand the priority of the citizens, and the necessity to develop our cities into inclusive spaces with vibrancy in economy and vitality of living. The need to create cities is as hubs of economic activities and thrive as sustainable futuristic space necessitates that we look at some of the learnings and modulate our future path. Some of the key imperatives of the future smart cities is detailed in the thought leadership which we're going to release today, which is the road to the sustainable smart cities. But some of the key point includes, number one, we need to build up our basics. Now, whenever we're building our cities, we need to include and appreciate the variance in age, occupation, requirement, and support infrastructure to enable development and livability. Second, we need to create a win-win situation through public and private partnership, using the best of both the worlds by creating funding opportunities and innovative state-of-art solutions to help cities become more smart. Make infrastructure and services affordable. Whether it is housing or utilities, vitality will come only through economic reinforcement. Then the most important thing, develop the skill building, the capacity of the workforce by developing at a capacity at the city level. Fifth is important for us to understand that as the technology advancement has made, we need to e-connect the entire city, whether it is things or people, which will allow the technology to help address the ease of living. Finally, manage and monitor the city effectively through technology enablement. It is critical to measure the change to ensure that we make the right decision for the city as it weaves the path for the future, adapting the change and challenges for urbanization. With diverse needs across the country, the various programs by the ministry, Smart Cities, Swachh Bharat, Jal Jeevan, Amrut, Hriday, India has proven that it knows how to manage the change. A change to bring relevance in today's changing times and the need of urban living. With this, I would like to invite our esteemed guest to share their thoughts on the journey that has well begun towards the vision of a sustainable, resilient, vibrant, and futuristic cities. Thank you.
May I now request Dr. O.P. Agarwal, CEO, WRI India, for his special address, please.
First of all, good morning to everyone. Mr. Durga Shanker Mishra, who I've been associated with for quite some time now. Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Brazil, Nilachal ji. It's a privilege to be sharing a platform with them. I've had many discussions with them over the last few years, but it's a rare privilege to be able to share a platform with them today. What I would like to do is, in terms of setting the context, something that Nilachal ji already started off with, I wanted to start by giving a few numbers. Let's not look at these numbers as basic statistics that you have to quote at various places, but let's try and internalize these numbers to try and understand the magnitude of the problem or the magnitude of the task before us, and I would say the magnitude of the task before Mr. Mishra in today's context. In 2011, we had an urban population of about 377 million. 2021 is the next census. I think the numbers will be somewhere around 420, 450 million, roughly is what India's urban population is likely to be. Projections are that to 2050, it will get to 850 million, which means what we are likely to see in this next 30 years. And 30 years is considered one generation in studies of democracy. In studies of demography, it's considered one generation. So in this one generation, we are going to add as many people to urban India as we have added from the beginning of mankind. Think of it this way, it's a doubling of the urban population in one single generation, number one. Second, some of the largest cities in the world, the most populous cities in the world will be in India. When I was growing up in school, we all heard about London, New York, Tokyo as the biggest cities in the world. A year ago, when I was looking at some recent statistics, I find that London and New York are nowhere in the picture now. Tokyo is the most populous city, but Tokyo's population has started declining slightly. Delhi's population is not just growing, it is leaping. By 2030, Delhi would have crossed Tokyo to become the world's most populous city. Cities like Bombay and others will be amongst the top 10 populous cities in the country, in the world. So we are looking at the biggest cities in the world going to be in India. There is no one else to learn from. We have to find our own solutions. That is the challenge before us today. Simultaneously, our government has, very rightfully, articulated an ambition to take India into a $10 trillion economy. Today, we are at about $2.7 trillion, which means we are looking at a quadrupling of our economy in about 10 years' time. A lot of people tell me this is overambitious. I argue, no, it's not. China did this. Why can't we do this? And when you have this kind of an ambition, you can actually get to it. If you don't have an ambition, you go routinely, business as usual. But today, I think we are in a position to get ambitious. It's a quadrupling of the economy that we are talking about. Where is this growth going to happen? Most of this growth is going to happen in our cities. The cities have to not just accommodate this growth, they have to enable and facilitate this growth. Cities have to get out of whatever problems we may be facing today. It has to get into a doubling of the population. It has to facilitate a quadrupling of the economy. That's the challenge before the cities that we have today. Now, in this context, we are going to start seeing cities of 40 million people, 50 million people. Can you think of managing? How do you manage a city of 40 million, 50 million people? This is one big thing that we need to be thinking about. And there are, I keep calling this a balancing between economies of scale that cities give you, large volumes give you economies of scale. Trade-off is manageability. How do you get a balance between economies of scale and manageability? So Paris, which has about 6 million people, is still divided over 1,200 municipalities. Beijing, with about 20 million people, is one single municipality. Where should India be? Should it be looking at decentralized urbanization, where you have not just a 40 million city, but maybe a 200 million urban cluster? Some kind of decentralized. So these are the kinds of things that Mr. Mishra has on his plate today. What should you think of urbanization going ahead? I think that is the challenge before the country today. Nilachal ji mentioned one thing which I want to pick up from. He spoke about capacity building at the local level. To me, nothing is more important than that. Whatever we speak here today, if the city engineer in the Guwahati Municipal Corporation or the city engineer in the Bihar Sharif Municipal Corporation is unable to understand, we have lost the game. Capacity building is absolutely important. One last thing before I end and leave it to more eminent people on this panel. The Prime Minister has articulated something called Atmanirbharta. To me, that's a beautiful word. But to me, what do I understand in this context? What does Atmanirbharta mean to me? What it means to me is India has its own special place. India has its own special problems. How our cities should grow, how our cities should be planned, how our cities should go forward is something that we must find out. It's not something that we just pick up from what the developed world is doing and try to do the same thing. We must find our own solutions. Our solutions can be very different. Many other countries have done the same. India must also become Atmanirbhar in terms of how our cities get planned for the future. I think this is a little that I wanted to add in terms of, so the way we have to do this Atmanirbharta is what I say, do contextual research. Carry out research that finds out what is the right thing for India. Many good things have happened elsewhere. Let's pick up from that, but try and find out whether that is the right thing for us to do and then do them. If not, what is right for us, go forward in that direction. With these few words, I want to again thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Pleasure to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Not only for pointing out the scale of the challenge, but also the scale of the opportunity that is ahead of us. And as you rightly point out, the challenges in India may be different from the challenges elsewhere in the world. So I'm very happy that we have an opportunity to hear a diversity of opinion and also hear about what's happening perhaps at the other end of the world in Brazil. It's my great pleasure to request His Excellency Mr. Andrea Aranha, Correa do Lago, Ambassador, Embassy of Brazil, for his address. Thank you, sir.
So, I would like to thank very much the organizers for inviting me to speak here today. Shri Durga Shanker Mishra, it's a great pleasure to be here. Mr. Nilachal Mishra, thank you for the introduction. And Mr. Agarwal, I agree with everything you said. I'm particularly happy to be here, not only, as was mentioned, because Brazil is also a developing country with very similar challenges as India regarding its cities. But I also have another point in common here, is that, as most of you must know, Minister Hardip Puri was ambassador to Brazil, and he became one of our best friends, and he is always telling me how much closer we have to be in the challenges that are being dealt with by this wonderful conference that I'm very happy that could happen personally. It's one of the first times that I'm speaking in public, and I'm very happy that it's on this occasion. There are other reasons for me to be here, is that I am a civil servant, I'm a diplomat. I've been a diplomat for 38 years, but I have a parallel life. I am an architecture critic, and I've been writing quite extensively about cities. So it's a great privilege for me to live in your country and to be able to talk a little about the challenges that we have faced in Brazil and the extraordinary perspectives that India has. So what is the greatest difference between Brazil and India? Is that Brazil's urbanization happened in a few decades ago, and today Brazil is almost 90% urban. This is a huge difference with India. We already have gone through our urbanization process. And as you know, there are mixed results with that. One of the results is that our economy is an economy turned mostly for services. It's probably a very contemporary economy, but at the same time we had the consequences of this very quick urbanization, and one of them unfortunately is very known, which is the violence in cities. So this is probably the biggest challenge we have. But on the other side, I think that our experiences have been extremely interesting. First, because we have the three types of urbanization that I think we can deal with today and that India is facing, and India also has. One is that together with India, we built the most total new city in the world. I mean, Chandigarh and Brasilia are the two cities built from scratch, what we call tabula rasa urbanism, and they are both, and they will be remembered both in centuries to come as the two greatest examples of the 20th century. But as we all know, they have the idealism of another time, and they cannot be the solution because obviously of the issue of land prices, density, so many concepts that have evolved in recent years. So we have that experience, we have made history in the tabula rasa urbanism, but that is not the way to go. Then we have another experience, which is obviously the fact that we had quick, informal urbanization of our cities, and we have a large number of people living in areas that were not supposed to be urbanized the way they are. What we call favelas, what in India you have many words, which are these informal occupations that little by little in Brazil, after many efforts in the 60s and 70s to remove them and take people far away from the center of the city, we reached the conclusion that the best thing was to transform these informal, illegal occupations into legal neighborhoods. We have to transform these invasions, these circumstances that were caused by economic difficulties and by lack of options. And we can, and we have seen that in many countries in the world, we can transform that into neighborhoods. And the third, which is, I believe, our aspiration to all, is to have sustainable cities. But what does sustainable city mean, which incorporates obviously the concept of smart city? Sustainable city is a city that takes into consideration the three dimensions of sustainability. Sustainability, most people associate with environment, but in fact, sustainability has to be also social and economic. If the city doesn't make sense economically, it cannot work. So we have to find this balance. And as Minister Agarwal has said, India has to have its own answers. In fact, India has such diversity that each city of India can have its own solutions and its different solutions. And in that context, Brazil has had a very positive experience in a city in the south of the country called Curitiba. Curitiba is a city that was a middle-class, relatively large city of around 2 million, but became for the United Nations the model sustainable city in the developing world. And the lessons from Curitiba are lessons that were taken to many, many developing countries and even to developed countries. Like the BRT, the bus rapid transit, was created in Curitiba in the 1970s. It's the first place in the world where it was developed. So I think that what we have today, and is very exciting in an event like this, is that you have examples, you have experiences, and you have solutions that make economic, environmental, and social sense. And that's what we have to look for, this balance. And this balance, each country has to look for with its own logic, with its own circumstances. And I have seen in India cities that are looking for different solutions because obviously, if they are in the south of India or in the north of India, these solutions have to be adjusted. So I'm very glad that this afternoon I'll be able to share some of our experiences in Brazil with sustainable cities. And once again, I want to have Brazil in this position today to be able to share with you that the friendship between our countries has to also be remembered in the dimension of cities. So I hope we can engage all together, the two countries, the civil society, the governments, the local governments, the neighborhoods, and exchange experiences, which obviously have to be adjusted, but I think they can be very useful. So congratulations for the event, and thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you so much, sir. As you rightly point out, there's a great deal of diversity in the challenges, but also a lot of commonality in the solutions that we can find. It is now my great privilege to welcome Shri Durga Shankar Mishra, IAS Secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, for his guest of honor address.
His Excellency, the Ambassador of Brazil, Dr. O.P. Agarwal, Mr. Nilachal Mishra, and the participants in today's this conclave. A very good morning to all of you. At the outset, let me first pay my sincere tribute to Shri Prem Bhalla, who is no more due to the current COVID-19 crisis, which has encapsulated the whole world in it. In fact, only after I came to know about his departure, the heavenly departure, then I was told about his age. He was so young, so enthusiastic that one could not have guessed about his age and about any other element which he could have had. He had, in fact, I had the privilege of being here in this Smart City conclave for the last 4 times, and this is the 5th, rather this is the 6th event of the Smart City. Thanks to Dhruv for carrying this forward. Dhruv came and he mentioned about this. Was very happy that you are carrying that forward. That's something which was started by Prem Bhalla, where he wanted the technologies, the city leaders, various other stakeholders to come at one platform and learn from each other. See what they can do for the cities. Let me just start with COVID-19 crisis itself, something which has posed such a big challenge to the humanity, and how our smart cities have been able to address this crisis. You must have heard the narratives through the print and electronic media, how our cities address this crisis, the Integrated Command and Control Center, or the very learning, citizen-centric approach of handling issues related to the people. And they came out with various models which was leading the fight with the pandemic in the whole of the state. Various models, whether it was for providing the logistics, medical support, providing sanitation services, ensuring that people get all kinds of things so that, there is no rumors around, providing information to the people, even predicting how this is going to behave, the quarantine, everything in all these aspects, using IT, using the tools which has been developed in the smart city. This was very, very useful, and lot of learning from there. Even cities, some of the cities, they got their integrated command and control center established in just in few days. Something which was happening for quite some time. This gave them an opportunity to showcase how they can use this opportunity for handling this crisis. In fact, this has proved when the floods came in Vadodara, when the cyclone was there in Kakinada, when the cyclone was there in Visakhapatnam, how they have been able to handle so many people related issues and to mitigate all the adversities people will go through when such kind of disasters come forth. In fact, smart cities, which is the basic topic on which this whole conclave is weaved around, they have given us a lot of new learnings. When we were talking about this 5-6 years back, we didn't even know what a smart city is. What is that you want to do? Where do you want to take your city to? In fact, there is no definition of a smart city. There is no specific explanation of the smart city. Smart city is the city which is able to provide best services to its citizens in terms of livability. So it provides such kind of a conducive environment, livable environment, wherein they can realize their best potentials. It's a city which provides sustainability. It doesn't decay. Like Excellency Ambassador spoke about social, economic and the environmental sustainability. Cities decay. Cities have wiped out of the atlas, wiped off the map, because they could not face challenges of water. They could not face the challenges of the environmental, various kinds of vagaries. They could not sustain. They were out of the word atlas. So what is that which you can do so that the cities sustain? I mean, whatever they are doing, that continues. And ultimately the cities are created as a place where synergetically all activities come together. People are able to make 1 + 1 to 11 and not 1 + 1 = 2. They are able to add, they are able to grow the economic activities. The livelihood opportunities, it adds to the total growth. How that is possible? The cities should ensure this. All these three aspects, the livability aspect, economic ability aspect and the sustainability aspect, that is what the smart cities are all about. And how that could be done? The very first learning is the cities are for the people. Cities are for the citizens and not for a bureaucrat like me or a mayor who is a political leader of the city, or a municipal commissioner sitting next here is the municipal commissioner of, CEO of Smart City Faridabad. It is not for us, not for the corporate. It is for the people. And we learnt for the first time through the smart cities that the citizens can come together. They can think, they can aspire, they can benchmark, they can create targets that what is their city needs to do so that it is able to deliver its best to its citizens. And that is what our learning has been in the last 5-6 years. Recently, we came out with a document called Making Cities Smart, Learning from Smart City Mission. In fact, I will invite you, this document published by my ministry and recently launched is available on our website. We'd request you to go and see this. Our vision is not to confine to these 100 cities which have been selected as smart cities. They were selected in a very different way. Unlike the most programs of the government of India or state government or any other government are on entitlement basis. I am poor, I am backward, I am this or that, so I need to get this much. Here was a program which is not entitlement basis. Here was a program which is based on a challenge. Who you are, where you are, and where you aspire to be, and how do you get your aspiration translated into the actual action. So where will you get the resources from? Where you will get the manpower from? How you are going to do this? This is what the smart city has taught. And that's why smart cities, they vary from population of 20,000 to maybe 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. So this learning, what they have done, how they have planned this citizen-centric activity, this has been documented in our book called Making Cities Smart, Learning from a Smart City Mission. The idea is we take these learnings from these 100 cities which are like the live laboratories to all the 4,372 cities across the country, which constitutes nearly 400 million population. We ensure that the future development of urban India, whose predictions are in the next one generation, as mentioned by Dr. O.P. Agarwal, by 2051, when we have the census 2051, this number is likely to grow near to 880 millions, 88 crores. We are going to double the population in the next 3 decades. If we do the business as usual, the cities are going to be the worst places to live. If the kind of a sprawl which develop, it will become very difficult for anybody coming to the cities for various kinds of opportunities, better education, better health, better business opportunities, better employment. All these things may not be possible because they will have to struggle for various things. We'll have to make the cities, we have to develop the cities smart. We have to make our roads smart. Already we have got around 280 kilometers of roads which are a smart road. What is a smart road? Normally when you move on a road, you find that the road is not meant for the people. It's more for the vehicles, more for the automobile, not for the people. Can you make the road for the people? And that is possible if all these utilities which are flowing here and there, they can be duct. There is a duct through which you can pass all the utilities. The road becomes wider. You can make it walkable. You can make it cyclable. You can make it a place where people can rest and enjoy the human being moving there, or all the facilities around there. Make it green. There is a place for the vendors. That's what the smart road is all about. Otherwise, we construct a road. Next year, we break the road for passing one facility, another utility, another utility. We continuously keep breaking the road, and the road becomes so tortured. And the most of the places is covered with the vehicles for the automobiles. The learning has been, we can make smart sanitation systems. It should be neat and clean. Already Swachh Bharat mission has showed results, but so the smart city mission, adding this technology layer, we can do things much more smartly. We can have water availability in the cities is plenty. In many cities, we have got 350 liters of water per capita per day. But in reality, they don't even get water for 6 to 7 hours. The standard is one doesn't need more than 135 liters. But if you do it smartly, you can do it even for less than 100 liters. Can you make that water which is available, use it smartly so that you are able to provide 24/7 water supply? Just add a layer, improve your infrastructure, and you will be able to do it. The cities have proved they can do it. They are able to do it. Can you do a smart planning? May plan your cities smart. Mixed development, transit-oriented development, so that the people don't have to cross, working on one side and living on another side of the city and taking every day 2 to 2.5 hours on the roads, exposing yourself to the pollution, causing pollution, adding to the pollution, deteriorating the quality of the air. Can you plan your cities in a way so that you just walk or cycle and cover all the requirement, most of the requirement? It's only rarely that you have to take the automobile. The earlier cities were being developed as automobile cities. One area here, another area here. This is residential, this is commercial, this is business, this is your industrial. People have to travel all the way from one part to another part, and that makes the life much more difficult. So the learning from smart cities, ultimately the major learning is how to get more from less. That's our basic learning. How to make your cities inclusive. How to make everybody, whosoever is part of your part of the city, he or she also contributes to the city's growth, city's betterment. Then only the city become a better city. It's not like we make cities only for few people. We have to make it inclusive. And that is what we have learned over the last 5 to 6 years. That needs to become our standards, our benchmark. In fact, the questions which are asking 5-6 years back, there has been a lot of learning, there has been a lot of cross-learning and a lot of learning from outside. Many countries, they have participated in our smart city development. And now we want to convert that development into the movement. It's a smart city movement. And the movement is, we will make anything, whether the cities which have been selected as smart cities, and we have developed certain learning from the ABD area, can that learning go to the rest of the city? Can that learning go to all the cities in the region around that place? That is, if we make this a smart city movement, that augurs well for the new urban India. And that is what we are targeting for. In the last 6 years, I don't need to repeat the statistics. You take any sector in the urban area, whether it is housing, sanitation, urban transport, livelihood, any sector, there have been tremendous growth. But can that growth spur a huge accelerated growth for the time to come, so that our cities serve the citizens in the best possible manner? They create such good environment which will lead to our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister visions this country to move from $3 trillion to the $5 trillion economy, from $5 trillion to $10 trillion economy, and not in the next 100 years, in the next 1 decade. We have to move that forward, and that is possible. It's not that, I 100% agree with Dr. O.P. Agarwal. Quadrupling the economy, it is absolutely possible. We only have to take such a smart road to take to that growth. We have already taken so much that learning needs to be now accelerated and passed on to the many places. And in such ventures, I think an activity like this, a conclave like this, where you get people from all kinds of background, all kinds of stakeholders, if they start thinking like a Team India, you start thinking, such things are possible. We can reduce wastage. Things like Global Housing Technology Challenge. Now we have the 6 technologies grounded at different places on the 1st of January 2021. And something which was unthinkable few years back, getting more than 1,000 houses in just 6 to 8 months, 14-story building. You can think of the speed with which it is being done, but it is actually being done. And if this technology becomes an Indian technology, we can, the kind of challenges we have to face, it is absolutely possible. We need to, this Jal Jeevan Mission Urban, which is going to come very soon, we make our cities water secure. We make sure that all the losses, all the leakages are taken care of. We use every drop of water. We try to reuse, recycle those water uses. It is possible. We will have to learn technologies from outside. We have to adopt technology from outside, but we'll make that as our Indian technology. And we can move towards not only Make in India, it's Atmanirbhar Bharat. All this is possible. We have seen this path in the last 6.5 years, and taking it forward. People like you who are participating here, those who have joined here in the exhibitions, various exhibitions, we have to take it forward. We have to ignite that creativity in our Indian mind. We have to ensure we are one of the largest startups in the world right now. Now they have to come out, and plenty of, I can quote you in all sectors, whether sanitation, water, there are so many new things have happened in the last 5-6 years. This needs to be taken forward in an accelerated manner, and then only we will have our cities smart, we will have the smart city movement and not a smart city development. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me and giving this opportunity to share my thoughts with you. I wish you all the very best for the next couple of days, all your exhibition and the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you also for your very touching tribute and for your continued support. May I now request Mr. Akshay Bhalla, Office Managing Partner North, to launch the KPMG in India Road to Sustainable Smart Cities, Challenges, Opportunities and Emerging Trends knowledge paper. one final order of business, sir. If I could just hand over a memento as a gesture of our gratitude for everyone's presence here. Thank you very much once again, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank all the eminent panelists here this morning, and also for those of us who are joining us virtually, those of you who are joining us virtually. Thank you very much, and we'll be back shortly. If we could just do one group photograph, please. Thank you.